Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, November 7th, 2019. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. In the previous session here, we closed within a very narrow range overall. We still have a very narrow 4-day range. Here's the 4-day range right here. You can see right now at 58% of ADR. Overall, this market remains very bullish. It remains within the bullish trend. I've mentioned before several key levels that if the market were to violate, we would rotate back down. 29.80 was one of those. It held above it. And then 30.20 was one of those. It held above it. And now we'll be watching 30.50 here. If price can't hold 30.50, perhaps we rotate a little bit downward. But right now, the flow is clearly to the upside. Everything is continuing to push higher until proven otherwise, and right now failing to hold 30.60, especially 30.50 would suggest a bit more of a pullback. But even if the market does pull back, say into the FOMC key level, bulls could still defend for a continuation higher. That level needs to give way in order for price to rotate back down. Alright, let's take a look now at the NQ. Here's the NQ. Very similar price action here, very bullish trend above the 8-period average, taking the FOMC key level on October 30th bid, and after taking a bid here again, we could still come back and still be a buying opportunity for bulls to maintain that strength and continuing this thing higher. If there's a failure to hold that level, that's when we would rotate back down. So that zone right there is going to be very important. It's about the 80-20 level. Or even the 8,000 level outright, but 80-20, 80-30, that zone right there is going to be very important. Right now, this thing continues to push higher. Even holding 81.50 would suggest near-term strength. So this market remains strong unless it starts to break back below near-term support. All right, let's take a look at crude oil. All right, here's crude oil. You'll see right here that this one has tried to push through the 57s. It hasn't really found acceptance above that zone, but it has traded above it quite a bit. Yesterday got as high as 57.85, closed above it 2 days ago. Right now we're trading above 57s just barely. We have a narrow 4-day range. You can see down here 62% of ADR, very narrow right there. Again, this market has seasonal tendency to drop tremendously during this period of the year. Right now we've gone kind of chopped sideways to up, and now we're pulling back to the previous month's high. This zone right here, again, as I continue to mention, if 57s can't be held, then that could be an optimal selling opportunity for what could be a turn down based on seasonality. Again, 57 very important, 58 right here. If the market can't get through that zone, then perhaps we rotate back toward 54, maybe back toward 51. Right now 54 seems like a high probability target here. We have very clear uptrending channel. Perhaps we see a little bit of a rotation back down. Again, if this thing were to pop above 58, that would be significant. But right now 58, 57 been big time resistance. We'll see. Narrow 4-day range could determine how far we go here once a breakout does occur. It could be about 3.85 points over the next 3 to 4 days. All right, let's take a look now at gold futures. Gold futures, big day down a couple days ago, failing to get above the 1520s, dropped back to 1480, and that's basically been the range. You got 1520, 1480, and the market's been chopping within that range. The wider range takes you out to 1465, 1425. If we were to get outside that range, it could be pretty interesting in terms of breakout potential. This market remains very, very compressed over the last 3 months. Inside value relationship this month with no real breakout just yet. It is holding below the midpoint, but still hasn't broken below 1480. So right now, given the support and given the fading of this range and how well it's done here, the idea would be watch 1480 for rejection, as this thing could return back toward 1510, 1515. Failure to hold 1480 would have a big test at 1465 ahead, which is the big CLVN below. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.